We've tried to make cacio e pepe several times and had not very good success, but I think we finally have the techniques figured out. Cacio e pepe, as you might know, is super simple. It's three ingredients. There's your favorite pasta, usually spaghetti type thing. There's black pepper, and there's pecorino cheese. And we are not YouTubers, we're not Instagram influencers. You're not going to find like amazing production values here in this video, but hopefully some of the techniques that we show you will help you make the perfect dish, because it really is perfect when it turns out. So here we go. So here we are grating the pecorino really fine. There is a cheese grater brand called Microplane. You can get it on Amazon or wherever. It is so amazing. It makes it super, super easy. You don't even have to do a lot of pressure. It works great. You know, really good chefs can usually just eyeball their ingredients, a little of this, a little of that. What we've learned with cacio e pepe is it's really important to actually follow the proportions. So when you look at the recipe, even the water is actually one of the most important because it has to be exactly the right amount of starch. So you're going to actually measure your water into your pot exactly. So this one calls for 14.5 cups. So I'm going to do 14.5 cups. And then likewise, you'll want to measure the pasta exactly as you can. A good kitchen scale is excellent to have. This one is called Nourish scale. It's also on Amazon. So I need to get to 12 ounces. It's 10.7. Yeah, 12.1. Perfect. So it's a really good idea just to have everything right there and ready to go on your stove, because once you start it goes really fast. So we have the water, we have a little handful of kosher salt to throw in once the water boils. We have our grated pecorino, we have our pasta, and then we have a skillet that this one is all clad. It found that that works the best, but I think you can use a no-stick pan or whatever. You'll also need a tongs and a ladle. And once you're done with your pecorino grating, you'll want to just put a few fingerfuls of grated pecorino into another little dish. This will be used to sprinkle over the top of the plates. All right, then I'm going to turn the water on to high, covered, and let that boil. It's going to take a little bit. Okay, then the water started to boil. So we're going to add a little handful of salt right after it starts to boil. And then we add the pasta. And the pasta you do not break in half. Very bad, bad thing. So you put the pasta in. You're going to set the timer for about 3 minutes less than what the package says to cook the pasta at. So if the package said cook it for 11 minutes, you're going to set the timer for 8 minutes. And while you're waiting for things to just happen, I suggest a little wine might help the process along. All right. While the pasta is boiling, then you're going to want to turn on the burner for the pan. And we've always had the best luck. This is an electric top oven stove. About 5 is where we've had the kind of the best luck. So you're going to let that get nice and hot, and you're going to wait for the spaghetti to be almost done before you do anything with the pepper. So when the pasta is, let's say, a minute or a minute and a half before it's done, you have your hot pan and you're going to just take the pepper mill and really cover the entire pan with pepper. Really, really generous covering. Most of the pan should be covered with pepper. And you're going to start to smell it because it's charring. That's good. And then once you really start to smell that it's actually charring, you're going to do 1 ladle of the boiling water onto the pepper, but I would suggest this is a good time to hold your breath or cover your nose and your mouth because it's going to make some steam that's very, very strong peppery, and it could make you kind of choke or sneeze. So here I go. That wasn't bad. So I'm going to add a little more water, and then as the water is boiling, I'm going to add a little more pepper also. Once the pasta is pretty much almost done, you're going to ladle a couple of spoonfuls of water, hot water, into the cheese, and you're going to turn it over. It should be almost solid. It should be not liquidy at all. And you just add the water little by little. But you kind of want it to be like a pie dough consistency, dry and soft. Okay, now I turned the burner off, and now I'm going to use my tongs, and I'm going to transfer the pasta over into the pepper pan. And the key here is to keep stirring because remember, the pasta is not quite cooked. It still needs a couple minutes of cooking, so you're going to kind of just keep adding pasta and more water. You want to keep the pasta covered. So keep adding it until you get all the pasta into the pan. Stir it as you pull it in there. And you want to really just keep stirring that pasta because you don't want it to sit in one place. You want it all to be sort of covered with water and getting softer. It's still cooking. And then you can add more pepper on top of the pasta because why wouldn't you want more pepper in cacio e pepe, right? Give it a nice shake. And yeah, just keep stirring and stirring. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to remove a few pieces of pasta and put it aside on a clean counter. And you're just going to try it, and you're going to basically do this stirring and cooking until the pasta is as al dente or as soft as you want it. Probably the trickiest part of this whole thing is before we remove it from the heat here and add the cheese, there needs to be just the right amount of water, not too much, not too little. This looks really close to about right, so you can kind of just see the water through the noodles there, but it's not like soaking in a lake. So that is the balancing act. If the noodles are too firm and you want them softer, you're going to have to add a little bit more water to keep it boiling, but then just kind of stir it around until the water evaporates. At this stage, you could turn it up just a little bit to accelerate the boiling, but this is looking pretty good right here in terms of the amount of water in there. And we've already tried the pasta and it's the right softness, so it's time to take it off the heat. This is another super, super important thing. Once you take it off the heat, you really want to let it sit for at least maybe 2 minutes, if not a little longer. If you put the cheese in when it's still too hot in the pan, it will make your cheese very stringy, and that's not what you want for cacio e pepe. Okay, and next, this really helps if you have 2 people. We're going to add the cheese into the pan little by little and really start stirring it fast with the tongs. Don't stop. Break up the pieces of cheese with the tongs and try to spread it as much around the pan as you can so that you don't get the strings. If you throw all the cheese in at once, what happens is some of the cheese gets mixed in well, but the other cheese turns into a big blob, and then you don't have a lot of you're missing the cheese on every bite. So don't do that. This is spreading nice. It's not getting too stringy. A little stringy happening, but not bad at all. And you want it to be this kind of just clear golden brown color. Getting a little bit of string happening here, but just stir it faster and faster. It's like, don't stop stirring until all your cheese is gone. All right. And then you're going to grab your plates and your bowls and put as much as you want on there. There's not too many strings of cheese, which is great. This is a little portion here for someone that doesn't want that much. But then you're just going to sprinkle a little bit of your pecorino on top and give one or two grinds of the peppermill. And enjoy.